Alright, hello YouTube and welcome to today's Gems of War video. In this video I have for you my Maugrim Woods scouting report. Maugrim Woods week is February 19th through February 25th. See Maugrim Woods right there near the northwest corner of the map. It's just northeast of Swords Edge, which was the previous week. Maugrim Woods is typically known as a beast kingdom, though there's plenty of war gear there as well. It's also a nature kingdom, and its bonus stat is life. Now, you might think that that's not all that interesting, and you're probably right. Now, and considering that your nature deeds and books can go to either Zulkari, which will give you magic, or Forest of Thorns, which will give you attack. So why bring Maugrim Woods all the way to level 20? Well, there's two reasons. First is the maximum power for Maugrim Woods. Currently level 29, but once we add to the new troops, it will reach its cap of 30. So you'll have an opportunity to make Maugrim Woods one of the kingdoms that can be level 20 and power 30. It's great, right? Also, Maugrim Woods has a faction which I understand to be one of the hardest factions to get at pure faction level 500, if not the hardest. I haven't gotten there yet, but I have seen the troops, and I think I can understand why those troops can cause a lot of problems, particularly at higher levels. So if you think that you're going to need all the extra stats, keep in mind that level 17 and level 19 you'll get lots of extra horde stats for your faction. Also get a Kingdom Tier bonus as long as you're using two different Hellgate troops, because the Kingdom Team bonus will apply to your faction as well. So there's a lot of that, and that will help you not spend all of your gold and all of your treasures on Hellgate. And even at level 19, you might have to do that anyway. So that's my pros and cons for getting it to level 20. My guess is that you'll probably want to go for Zulkari and then Forest of Thorns, and then probably Maugrim Woods after that, because after those two, all the other known nature kingdoms are life bonuses. Okay, let's take a look at the core 4 and the 4 more. Now, you probably have seen from my previous scouting reports that the epic trial teams get changed. And that's because we haven't had the Maugrim Woods epic trials yet. So I almost guarantee that the developers are going to change this team. And it's probably going to be for the best, because this team has a glaring issue. So a lot of these troops are really good, but there is a glaring issue with this team. So I'm going to start with the Spirit Dancer. The Spirit Dancer is an ultra rare troop. It uses brown and purple. It transforms the selected mana color to green and summons a Spirit Fox. Also summons a Leaf Storm when an ally summons a troop, assuming the Spirit Dancer is going to be one of those allies, of course. So it makes a lot of green, but doesn't actually use any green. But we see the Spirit Fox, which is also an ultra, uses green and purple, and it drains 7 mana from an enemy, removes all yellow gems, and deals a certain amount of true damage boosted by the gems removed. It starts the battle with full mana and cannot be targeted by spells unless there's nobody else. So this is a pretty good troop, in my opinion. And overall, I would say the Spirit Fox and Spirit Dancer are a pretty good duo. So if you are going to invest in Spirit Dancer, you almost have to invest in the Spirit Fox as well. So that's those two done. About the Tracker. Tracker uses green and brown, and the Tracker creates 7 green, which is good for the Tracker, 7 red gems, which is not so good, and summons 1 to 2 dire wolves. Dire wolves are base level common, they use green. And the tracker also has a nature link, which gains bonus green mana for green gem matches. This is overall pretty good. In my opinion, these are both duos are pretty good. You'll obviously have to level up the dire wolves along with the tracker if you're going to use them. If I had to choose one versus the other, I would go with the Spirit Dancer myself. So what about Ancestor Brodir? Ancestor Brodir is an epic. Ancestor Brodir creates 8 blue gems and 8 green gems. Doesn't use either of those. And then it summons 1 to 3 random Maugrim Woods troops. Also starts the battle with 50% mana. Now, the hard thing about Ancestor Brodir can be really good if you have a lot of Maugrim Woods troops that you've invested in. A lot of Maugrim Woods troops level 20. A lot of Maugrim Woods troops are traded. If not, he might be summoning level 1s and level 5s, which will be around for a little bit, I guess. But yes, otherwise this is kind of a little bit more useful if you've really spent a lot of time leveling and trading up all of your Maugrim troops. Otherwise, these are both better. Kerberos does a certain amount of damage to an enemy with a 40% chance to devour them. Sounds great, right? It even has a 50% chance to summon a warg when an enemy dies. Sounds good, right? Also gains 50% bonus souls from the battle. Okay, so you're wondering what the catch is, right? Look at its mana, purple and brown, right? Look at the banner, makes blue and green, right? Spirit Dancer summons a Leaf Storm, green. Transforms a selected mana color to green. Tracker gives you bonus green mana. Creates green and red gems. Ancestor Brodir creates blue and green gems. So nothing of that really helps Kerberos. Kerberos is kind of on its own. Not only that, Tracker and mana blocks him on brown. Spirit Dancer and Ancestor Brodir both block him on purple. So overall, if this lineup is still the lineup we're going to get, what I would do is I just simply put Kerberos right up in front, try to get his spell going as quickly as possible, try to eat someone on the other side, preferably the Kerberos that's on the other side. It's the Epic Trials right now, that's really what it is. The other side also has a Kerberos. So it really could come down to which of these two is hungry enough to eat the other one. And then that's probably all it's going to take. The Sin of Mirage had Greed, Gluttony, which had a 20% chance to devour. If you got that one going, then you could basically win any level. And even if you didn't figure out all the rest of the strategy behind that epic trial. And I would imagine this would be the same thing. But this is going to change. So if you have Kerberos, probably worth investing in. I would say Spirit Dancer is definitely worth investing in. The other two, I guess, are a little bit more situational. So let's take a look at the 4 more. So I have for you the Wayfinder, which is an ultra rare troop. It does a certain amount of damage to an enemy, double damage if they use green mana, and halves their attack. Having their attack is pretty good because that will allow you to take skulls off the equation for the other side, or at least make it a little bit less useful for the other side. It's also got stealthy, so he can't be targeted by spells unless everyone's stealthy or he's the only one left. And so that's it. He can kind of get you out of a jam, but it's probably better not to get in a jam in the first place. So, yeah, it's one to consider at least. But I really like this one. Fenrir gives an ally a certain amount of attack and life. If the ally is a beast, gives double the effect. Keep in mind, his second trait is Leader. He gains 3 to all skills if he's in the first position. And that's really where I like to put him when I'm putting him in one of my teams. I like to put him in the first position. I like to use his spell on himself because he'll get 3 to all skills because he's in the first position. And because he's both a wargear and a beast, he'll get double the effect because he's half beast. So if you put him in the first position and you have troops behind him that can generate skulls, that can make for a quick battle. So that's someone definitely worth considering. Even more so worth considering is the legendary Forest Guardian. Remember in my previous scouting report when I talked about Sir Quentin Hadley, that where all knight allies start with 50% mana? Well, for this one, all beast allies start with 50% mana if he's fully traded. He transforms purple gems to skulls, transforms brown gems to green, and all allied beasts gain barrier. You'll probably be using him on a team that is all beasts, so everyone will have all barriers. Sounds great, right? So if you have Forest Guardian, make sure you've leveled him up, and you've got all 3 of the traits, especially Lord of Beasts, which you'll get last anyway. So now we go for the mythics. So the mythics, there's 5 to choose from, and the one I would recommend that you get first, and it's one that you can get on any given week, is Scroll Reborn. Scroll Reborn creates 5 yellow gems and converts all yellow gems to Doom Skulls, then summons 1 to 3 wargs. Its 3rd trait, which is pretty good, gives 4 attack to all beast allies when his turn begins, and he is a beast himself, so he gets that as well. So, the really good thing about this is you can get this relatively cheap as long as you have the Sun Tarot card from Suncrest. If you don't have that card, then just keep doing the vault event, opening up those vault chests, and you'll get it eventually. Or just opening up the vaults, I guess, is not chests. But you get the idea. Once you get the Sun, you only need a certain number of souls to get him, plus 8 orbs of wisdom, which you'll easily be able to part with to get a base level mythic, technically a boss, but also counts as a mythic. As far as the other ones, you can kind of go with any of the other 4 you want to kind of backfill everything else. Keep in mind that Hatir Ascendant and Hatir Scroll will both generate lycanthropy gems, and even though you can kind of use them in teams where everyone is immune to lycanthropy, there's nothing like watching lycanthropy gems start hitting the opponent troops. Their base level common are about to kick the bucket, and then they get transformed into base level mythics with all their armor and light. Yeah, don't mess with lycanthropy, really. Hatir Ascendant has kind of a similar recipe for Scroll Reborn, where you can get him at any given time. You do have to use Orbs of Ascension to get him, rather than the Orbs of Wisdom, so it's a little bit more expensive. Hatir Scroll and Wolf Garrock are both occasionally available in the Soul Forge on a rotating basis. I would definitely take Wolf Garrock over Hatir Scroll. And this guy is the Cosmic Dragon, which you can get by hatching Cosmic Dragon egg. Good luck. Anyway, that's all for the troops. Let's take a look at the weapons. Good thing about the weapons is that we already have 15 of them for Maugrim Woods, and we're going to get one more. So you only need 14 of them. So you've got a good amount to choose from, right? Well, you've got weapons to choose from. I wouldn't necessarily say a lot of these are good. But let's take a look at my favorite. My favorite of all the Maugrim Woods legendary weapons is the Wolf Hammer. Wolf Hammer does a certain amount of damage to an enemy boosted by Maugrim Woods allies and creates a mix of 6 blue and green gems for each Maugrim Woods ally. Blue and green is pretty good for Maugrim Woods. The upgrades aren't necessary, but they're okay. I like stunning the first enemy. That's pretty good. But otherwise, this is the best one of the legendaries from Maugrim Woods. The second best one is easily the Lupine's Edge. Lupine's Edge does a certain amount of damage to an enemy boosted by War Gear allies, and creates a mix of 6 green and red gems for each War Gear ally. Good if you need both green and red. The upgrades are not even as good as Wolf's Hammer, but it's a nice one to get, and you can get it in the Soul Forge during Maugrim Woods week. As far as the faction weapon that you can get during Faction Assault, it's the Hellblade, which does a certain amount of damage to one enemy boosted by your souls, and that is a 1-to-1 ratio. It has some upgrades, and if you want to pass on this weapon, I don't blame you. That's all I gotta say about that one. Take a look at the class weapon. This one's actually pretty good, actually. Warden's Gauntlet destroys a row in a column and does a certain amount of scatter damage, boosted by green gems destroyed, and I believe that boost is ×3. So this is a really good mana generator. And it also destroys 3 random green gems after it's all done. So it can really give you a lot of mana if you're using it. And I do tend to use it a lot in some of my Maugrim Woods teams. So if you haven't gotten 250 wins with the Warden class, you can finish that up probably during the class trials on Thursday, and then you can get this weapon. Pretty good. Now, the really good weapon, I don't consider this obviously with the legendary weapons, but you really gotta keep your eye out for this weapon. I have passed on this because I didn't realize how good it was, but now that I know, I'm planning to get this one when Maugrim Woods begins. Doomed Glaive does a certain amount of damage to all enemies +1 per tempering level, converts brown gems to Doom Skulls, does something if an enemy has a Doom, then gains 3 magic for each green enemy. Overall, this is a pretty good weapon. Generally considered one, all the weapons that have this type of spell are generally considered to be some of the best doomed weapons in the game by people who are smarter than me. They're smarter than me for a reason, so I would tend to go along with them on this. But yeah, if when Maugrim Woods comes around, you might want to get this weapon. So, those are all the weapons. Now let's talk a little bit about the Warden class. I'm going to only talk a little bit about the Warden class because this class is not really all that good in my opinion. Traits are pretty much pedestrian. Talent trees, I don't think they really give you that much. At level 20, you can get a Leaf Storm at the start of the battle, although there are some troops that will give you the same thing. Overall, the best part about the Warden class is it makes your hero from Maugrim Woods, makes your hero a beast if any of those are good for team synergy. Other than that, you're probably not going to use the Warden class for much, and you're probably not going to overly care about it too much unless you're trying to get your Maugrim Woods to power level 20. Let's take a quick look at the pets. The Kingdom pet is Lil Kirby. You've got 2 different team pets. You've got the Fennekin, which gives your fire teams a boost. Keep in mind that the fire team has to be 4 unique troops that all use red mana. Lil Lupus boosts your War Gear team, and Slightly Judgy is the pet that you get from doing the faction Hellgate. And of course, there'll be a starry Lil Kirby that will be that you'll be able to get by doing the trials, the epic trials. So let's take a quick look at Hellgate. I've kind of talked up its potential to be a bit of a headache, and overall and you can see Hellgate's kind of up in the northwest corner of the Underworld map. kind of match where where its regular kingdom is on the regular map. So let's take a quick look at the 4 troops. Overall, I think there's 2 really good troops to get for Hellgate, maybe and 2 that might be pretty good. Judge of the Dead is the legendary one. Does a certain amount of damage to all enemies, boosted by souls, and the soul boost is 2 to 1. So if you've got a lot of souls collected, this will do a lot of damage to everyone. And if it's doing damage to you, you better hope you have Submerge. Now, Sharonis can gain 1 soul for each purple gem and then explodes all purple gems. So if you cast them while there's a lot of purple gems on the board, you can get a lot of souls added to your total, which will make the Judge of the Dead more powerful. And then exploding all purple gems is going to fill up Judge of the Dead pretty quickly because he's the only one of the pure faction team that uses purple mana. The Sharonis can also gain 50% bonus souls from battle, though you probably won't be using him for that. But he can be a part of a soul grinding team if you want. The ultra rare troop is Fury, does a certain amount of damage to an enemy if they die, gain 20 souls, otherwise death mark them. Starts battles with 50% mana, which is kind of nice. Summons a Bone Storm at the start of battle, which can be nice for other teams, maybe not necessarily for this team. But this is a decent troop, in my opinion. Lemure possibly can be Feast or Famine. Eliminates 43 from a random skill on an enemy, boosted by your souls, and removes all yellow gems. 43 is magic plus 1. Hold on a second. Voice is trying to get through this video, so bear with me on this one. So yeah, I would suggest that probably the pure faction team is gonna be some amount of Judge of the Dead and Sharonis, maybe 3 of these and 1 of this, or 2 and 2. That would be kind of that's kind of where my head's at right now. But there's a lot of other videos out there for that, so you can probably look that up. Just give back to it. So that's your pure faction part of the video, and and also when you're doing faction assault, keep in mind it is a brown-red restriction. Not the worst restriction out there, because red gives you a lot of really good options, but yeah, it's not the easiest one, but not the hardest one. But now we have to deal with the elephant in the room, is that it's going to be a journey event for our guilds. I know a lot of our guilds lost the will to win last time we had a journey event after they nerfed a lot of the previous Pathfinders. This Pathfinder is probably going to be along the same line as all the other Pathfinders that we've seen before. All of the ones that we think of anyway. It's going to be green and purple, if Turan's world is to be believed, and it will create purple gems based on war gear allies. So it's got to be another one where you need all 4 war gear allies. You want to have lots of purple to get that Pathfinder refilled. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, war gear sounds good because we have a Pathfinder that is war gear. We do. It's called Todd Greenwood, and he doesn't use purple. And the problem with that is that generally the journey will have either a kingdom type or a troop type that you have to adhere to, plus a mana type. And based on the Pathfinder, that's likely to be war gear and purple. Unfortunately, Todd Greenwood doesn't use purple, so you're probably going to be stuck with just a Pathfinder that we have, which is probably just as well because we don't have anything to suggest that multiple Pathfinders even if they are multiple unique Pathfinders, will be able to stack their mile ability. So, what are our options? Well, I can't show you the Pathfinder, but I can show you kind of what I would be going for if I'm making the team right now. Take a look at this weapon. This is one of the weakest weapons in the game, isn't it? It's a wizard's wand. It does scatter damage. You're not going to be using it. So why am I using it? Well, if the weapon has to be purple as well, then I could put the hero in first position and just make the weapon as cheap as possible. And that just might be enough to give my Pathfinders time to generate mana. Because I could actually, with the Spirit Walker class, I can put 50% mana on the hero. So the hero will start with 2 mana. And then it will only need 3 more. And then all the other purple can go to the Pathfinder. That's an idea anyway. Plus, if you're using the Spirit Walker, you can also get all these traits, but most importantly, if it is already level 70, you'll be able to get bonus purple from purple matches, which can be good, particularly if you need a lot of purple and the loops aren't going to be as comfortable as they used to be. So the next one I'm going to show you is a little on the expensive side because it's a base level mythic from Volpatia. It can do 42 true damage to all enemies or summon 1/3 Volfire Hunters. Volfire Hunters are base level legendary. Haven't ascended this one to mythic yet, but this one can choose to either deal 42 true damage to an enemy boosted by blue gems, which is probably what you're going to do. Or it can do 42 splash damage to an enemy. This is calculated based on magic, boosted by blue gems. Overall, you're probably going to do true damage, but if you need to do damage to everyone, you could do, particularly if everyone that's left has all their armor removed, then doing 42 splash damage could potentially do more. This one's got some decent traits as well. And so overall, this is pretty good. Phoenix can generate more legendaries to get you through the round if you need to. Of course, you could just do double Pathfinders instead of Phoenix, particularly if you don't have Phoenix. But what you really want to have, somewhere in your team, probably at the end, is Harper. Harper is the troop that you get by completing Volpatia, and Harper is actually pretty good for this team because you can get bonus purple mana from purple gem matches. Plus, Harper also summons a Darkstorm, even more purple. And you can choose to either give 38 life to all allies or give other allies half their mana. That is half their total mana, so if they already have 75% of their mana, they'll be so. Or if they have 50% of their mana already, they'll be so. That is a really good troop to have in this particular game. Because take a look at this team. Harper's got, if you match 3 purple gems, Harper's gonna give you 1 more, Hero's gonna give you 1 more. Banner, assuming that you have a double purple, will give you 2 more. It's not going to be as good as it used to be, but if you put everything together, you might be able to make something work. And if this video worked for you, please consider giving this a like, subscribe to this channel, and or follow me on Twitch if you are so inclined. And I will be back next week with another video. Later.